After a hard-fought battle last week at Silverstone, for the second time this season, the Skip Barber Racing Series moves to Australia. And while the first stop at Bathurst was definitely about a long lap on long straightaways, this time a very tight-knit circuit that unfortunately does not exist in the real world anymore. This is going to be 19 laps of Oran Park live on RaceSpot TV and iRacing Live, round number 7 of your Skip Barber Race Series. Don't go away. Welcome back to RaceSpot TV and iRacing Live as qualifying currently underway for round number 7 here of your Skip Barber Championship, live from the Oran Park Raceway. Randy Chineth joined by Cam Walsh and Hugo Louise, bringing you all the action today. 19 laps today, Cam, at a very, very tight racetrack.
Yes, it is. Oran Park seemed to be a track that never seems to find the perfect car for it, yet we've raced many different vehicles here, and I have to say, pretty much every single time we've done it, the racing has always been extraordinary. It is one of the only figure 8 tracks that we have in essence on road racing, other than Suzuka, that has the crossover, of course. But either way, Oran Park has been a fantastic circuit, and of course, unfortunately, no longer in existence, but thankfully can be enjoyed here on the iRacing service.
Yeah, shortly before this circuit got torn up, and I think it got turned into a little strip mall or condominium complex of some sort. I'm sure someone could go to Wikipedia and say what they turned this place into. The iRacing got their scanners down there, got it laser scanned, and it is now immortalized in the iRacing service. Qualifying, let's take a look at some of the times that have come through. Current quick time held by the 6th of Johnny Gundy. That's a 1:13.12 flat. Norbert Solder currently holds the second spot, just 0.02 of a second off. It was actually turned into a housing development, so I was close on the second guess. Let's see other drivers out there on the racetrack. Philippe Lebert is currently out and circulating. He is working himself up through the final 2 corners on the racetrack, down this downhill section, into the uphill final left-hander. Very difficult corner to get right, and he's going to want to get as much speed as he can back onto the front straightaway. He's got 2 tenths he needs to try to find to come away with pole. Did he come across the stripe? Will he improve? No, he actually goes 2/10 of a second slower, so he will not start better than 4th place today. Cam, these point situations, everyone's wanting to get that the championship win in this first season and get themselves that one-day racing school at Skip Barber.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just looking through the list of your top 25 runners as far as championship points go, not seeing anyone per se. Oh, that's because I'm looking at Division 5. That would explain a lot of things. There we go. Philippe Lebert is still at the top there, and then Ariel Tafreita is also there. I believe Cyandra is here. Yes, he is. So quite a couple of racers then. You know, it's great when you get out of Division 5 and up to Division 1, you can see who's actually racing for the championship, as it turns out.
Right now, AJ Bear currently doesn't have a qualifying time. He's working himself through the final section of the racetrack. Quick right, quick left, and now up into that final left-hander here at Oran Park. And let's see what he's going to do, the number 10 machine, as he works himself back onto the front straightaway. Let's see where he's going to slot himself in. Currently a time of 13.7. Going to put himself right about in the middle of the grid, and he has just enough time, Cam, that he's going to be able to get one more lap around this speedway.
Yeah, should be able to. We will see, as there are still quite a couple of cars actually driving around, though I think that they've gotten their times. So I see AJ Bear still pretty much the only one out there, so we'll see what he can do, of course. AJ, I've seen him in quite a couple of races. Good to see him here in the Skip Barbers, that all-black Skip Barber car, bringing his way through here, coming through, well, the last couple of sections here. He's going through corner number 6 over the Yokohama Performance Tires Bridge. There's a couple of different layouts here that he could use, but obviously we are running the Grand Prix circuit. And you've got 7, 8, 9, which is a quick left-hander here, and you get this little quick switch back, 10 and 11. And then you've got a pretty good winding uphill corner number 12, and then a long stretch to corner number 1. And Randy, just talking about corner number 1 and 2, is we'll see what AJ Bear's qualifying time is. It's actually sort of a pink is 1 and a hairpin is 2, so it actually always seems to have troubles as far as race starts go.
Yeah, the start of this lap is always very difficult. He's actually going to come through and put in a time of a 1:13.3. That's going to move him up to 6th on the timing sheets. And with that, that's going to be our qualifying grid. And let's take you down the starting grid here from round number 7 from Oran Park. Coming away with the pole is that number 6 of Yanni Gundi. On the outside of him will be Norbert Sulzer. Starting in the 3rd spot is Greg Seitz with Arjen de Vriend on the outside of him. Joining him on row number 2, Philippe Bear and AJ Bear, the Bear brothers will say, on row number 3, with Gerardo Babia Ramos and Francois Bollier making up row number 4. Jesus Martin Timerio starting in 9th, with Carl Dronke starting in 10th, with Adam Rylance and Andrea Precario making up the row behind them. Cy Andra and Justin Dipson make up row at number 7, with Justin Smith and Tim Bedeau making up row 8. Christian Kapenga rounds out the 17-car field. 19 laps, 1.62 miles around this racetrack, and about 1.5 seconds is what divides this field. We wait for these guys getting gritty, Cam. I think you're right. That turn 1, turn 2 complex always seems to catch people out here.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's 77 degrees Fahrenheit, 87 degrees on the track. A little bit of wind, 6 miles an hour, shouldn't have any impact on the racing, but we'll see here as the last couple of cars are getting rolled out on the grid, Randy. These guys pulling away into corner number 1. It's going to have to be single file very quickly, and I think we might see 1 or 2 rim-to-rim accidents, but hopefully nothing too dramatic. So it's going to be, of course, Skip Barbers here at Oran Park.
You really do want to try to get yourself as much to single file as you can going into those first couple corners, but that's not going to stop people, I think, from being aggressive going into that first section of the racetrack. Like we've said, you have a left-hand kink that immediately goes into a hairpin. Some of the quicker cars, that really is taken as one long section. You start braking for the hairpin before you ever get to the kink, and then, well, you got to get that car down to speed. Fortunately for these guys, cars are a little slower, cars are a little smaller, a little easier to cram them into that tight space. Revs are beginning to build, lights go on, lights go out, and we are green here at Oran Park, starting the first of 19 laps. Good start between the top 4. I don't think anyone's really got a bad start, actually. Top 5 even. Field pretty much single file, working on getting themselves through. I don't really see any side-by-side action yet. Yes, I do, actually. 7th and 8th fighting. That's Gerardo Babia Ramos and Francois Bollier into the first section of the racetrack. Big braking move coming behind them. Almost 3 wide as they work through the first couple corners, Cam.
Yeah, and they're all going under the bridge for the first time. Johnny Guindi is able to keep his lead as Norbert Sulzer tried to position his car in the way before Johnny Guindi could take the corner, but Johnny took it, and he's going to keep his lead. Greg Seitz is going to be in 3rd, Orion Zafreitza in 4th, and then Philippe Bear in 5th. One car...
Oh, we got to spin. Yeah, we got to spin. Not sure who that was. Damaged race car of Andrew Precario. That's the 13. Let's see if we can get a replay here shortly of what happened here before now. We'll keep our cams on the leaders. Replay going up now, and seems to me the 4 machine Gerardo Babia Ramos, he got turned around at corner number 4. That sent him around, and well, a couple other cars beating and banging because of that. For the most part, though, Cam, relatively clean. We'll say it was a clean incident.
Yeah, the car ended up getting a nice little kiss on the gearbox, sent him around actually into what would be an alternate layout as we're going back to live pictures. An alternate little chicane that you could throw in there if you wished. And actually, Gerardo Babito Ramos, the number 4 car, is actually going side by side with Justin Smith. So he's on the inside trying to recover already. Normally it takes a lap or two to really get a handle and recover from an incident like that, but he is really going at it. He's on the inside. He's going to continue to keep that position as they go through that very tight hairpin corner number 2. They'll go onto the ridge one more time as he now has Carl Tronke to go through. So we'll see actually where Gerardo is able to pull forward. He almost puts a wheel inside, but he started in 7th. He's back down to 11th. We'll see what his recovery drive brings him. But either way, Johnny Guindi still your leader. Solzer still in 2nd, and Seitz in 3rd.
Close fight amongst your top 5. Basically all the cars about 1 to 2 tenths separating them through the top 5 as they work themselves through a quick little right left. And now this is due this last part of the lap here at Oran Park, working through corner number 9 up towards 10 and 11. Quick right, quick left. This is a corner that in bigger cars, GT cars, and even V8 supercars, very difficult to get right. And these little cars going to be a little bit easier now through the final section of the racetrack. And Johnny Guindi actually scraped that outside wall. This might open the door for that number 1 machine behind of Norbert Solzer to have an assault on the lead, and he goes to the outside. Johnny Guindi defending to the low as they make the run down your front straightaway. The 1 machine has a nose for now, but down to the inside goes the 6 machine holding on, and Solzer's going to push wide, and that's not going to be good for him. That's going to drop him back, I think, a few spots for sure.
Yeah, he's going to be back down to 5th position before he's able to regain onto the circuit and get back up to speed. No worries from Francois Bouillon to attack the position, but he looks like he's going to be able to maintain his position in this lead pack, as it is now a pack now, going about 7 deep. But for Johnny Guindi, that was a bit of a scare, grazing that outside wall on the exit of corner number 12. But for Johnny Guindi, he's now got a couple of teammates right around him. Greg Seitz, his teammate, right behind, and then not that far back in the 4th position will be Philippe Lebert. The only danger really is Arion Zofreita, and we'll see exactly what Zofreita is going to be able to put on to Greg Seitz as the laps tick on down. They all go off track a little bit, Randy. That's fairly normal, and that's fairly okay here in these Skip Barber cars, as long as they don't get too excessive with how slow, or I don't want to say how slow, but with how these cars go, their rate of speed. It's not necessarily the most dangerous thing in the world for them to be going off track. We saw how easy Norbert Solzer was able to pull back onto the racing circuit as Johnny Guindi is about to go too wide into corner number 1. Once again, actually, they're going to cross each other, so a little bit of action going into 2.
Greg Seitz decided to pull out of that move, and because of that, they're going to get themselves back single file. Bit of an accordion effect because of that happening with Arjan de Vries, Philippe Lebert, and AJ Bear behind. The 1 machine of Solzer goes to the outside of AJ Bear, trying to work a spot. AJ didn't get a good run out of turn number 2 into turn 3 because that 1 machine able to slide himself alongside. He holds the outside for now through corner number 3 and now into 4. I think he's going to eventually have to give up the spot. Not a quick run, but he's going to slide himself down to the inside as Carl Dronke is going to hit the pit lane. 1 machine, though, side by side with the 10 through corners number 6 and on the 1 run into 7. Fantastic racing from Norbert Solzer, going to put himself back into the top 5.
Yeah, and that was a fairly straightforward maneuver through a lot of different corners, and it's actually pretty tricky, that area. You've got quite a couple of merges between the different layouts. It actually unsettles the car quite a bit, so that was very good maneuvering on Norbert Solzer's part, as he had actually just made the pass right before they got to the bridge, right under the braking there. That was a good maneuver to see. And now Johnny Guindi once again will Greg Seitz challenge for the lead here on lap 5 of 19, and where will Arion Zofreita start making his maneuvering and trying to close up. There's a little bit of a gap now between Philippe Lebert in 4th and Norbert Solzer, AJ Bear, and Francois Bouillon. We'll see if these 3 guys can hunt down your front 4 leaders as Johnny Guindi goes well off track. He managed to pull it back on before they hit 3, but still, this is getting quite hairy up here in the front.
Johnny Guindi definitely pushed him hard. We've seen him make a couple mistakes already. That one coming off the final corner and scraping a wall, and then just right there coming out of 2, getting well off the racing surface. And with the likes of Greg Seitz, Arjan de Vries, and Philippe Lebert closely lurking behind, he needs to try to keep those mistakes in check now. He's about midway through lap number 5 here, into 7, into 8. Quick little right left with a couple tight chicanes on this racetrack, and then corner number 9, one of the 2 quick tight 90-degree left-handers. Corner number 12, very similar in that respect, and the car behind him off the racetrack, that's Philippe Lebert. Just for a moment, he gets it back onto the black stuff, coming now up into the final corner. Begin lap number 6 of 19 here. For the most part, Cam, the field has themselves pretty much single file and relatively well spaced out. No one really side by side or fighting too hard just yet. It's still early stages.
Yeah, it is. Chasing to the inside was Oran Zafreta on Greg Seitz. He's now going to pull alongside on the outside. The outside has not worked, and I don't believe the outside will work for the rest of the day here unless you're really able to get a good exit on the hairpin, but the best exit on your hairpin is going to be taking the hairpin's traditional line, in which case Greg Seitz has his car parked there, and actually because Oran Zafreta tried the outside, that allows Philippe Lebert to come in. His front wing just a hair away from Oran Zafreta's rear tires. They go up the hill one more time. They're going underneath that bridge, and they're going to continue. You really have to throw the car here, and actually Greg Seitz is able to get a very good toss, but unfortunately Johnny Gwindy's vehicle is right there. I almost wonder if Greg Seitz would be faster over lap times, but he is obviously in second position. Oran Park, a pretty difficult place to pass unless you start throwing out the elbow, I guess I would have to say, making yourself a little more rowdy, but hopefully we will not see that here. One slight miscalculation from one of these guys could ruin all four of these guys' races.
I actually think that Greg Seitz right now has the better race car over that number 6 of Johnny Gwindy. We've seen a couple times, not only Johnny pushing wide and having mistakes, but he's fighting loose as they make the run down into corner number 1, and DeVries, he fakes left and then gets himself back single file. I think you're right though, Cam, about this section of the racetrack. You're not really going to be able to make that outside line work when it comes to getting around traffic here. I think you're going to want to try to stay single file through 1 and then really throw a dive bomb on the braking on the hairpin into 2, but going up into 3, DeVries thought about making a move on Greg Seitz, didn't quite able to get it. Now this section of the racetrack is where I've seen Johnny Gwindy struggling with a loose race car, and you see him here now through 4 into 5. He's able to actually hook it quite well right there. When he gets it right, Cam, he's able to stretch a couple tenths over the likes of Greg Seitz and Arjan. However, when he gets it wrong, he loses that time, and then you basically see that number 5 machine all over the back of your leader through this section of the racetrack. But for now, Johnny Gwindy, for the first time all race, able to stretch a bit of a gap.
Yeah, and you can see them really using those concrete curbs very liberally and working their way through, actually, as there's, of course, the curbing, and then there's actually some concrete curbing expanded, some flat curbing expanded past those curbings. So these guys really using it, and they get so very close to that outside wall. I mean, Johnny Gwindy, he gets extraordinarily close to that outside wall. Lap times coming in here much quicker now that they've seemed to halt their race. It's a 1:13.3 for Johnny Gwindy and a 1:13.7 for Greg Seitz. Here comes Oran Zafreta. No, another 1:13.7, by the way, for him. And as they are just stacking them up here, I think they're getting more hustled and hustled into corner number 2. And actually, here comes Norbert Sulzer, AJ Bear, and Francois Bouillon. They have worked over the last couple of laps to recover the speed and positioning. I think the racing these front guys are doing is really costing them as we're hitting the halfway point here at Oran Park.
Some of these guys a little bit down towards the tail end of this battle. Norbert Sulzer, AJ Bear, Francois Bouillon, and looking at the lap times, 13.1 for Sulzer, 13 flat for Bear, and a 13.2 for Bouillon. So those guys putting in some very, very quick lap times. This is quickly, I think you're right, Cam, going to become a 6 to 7 car train here for the second spot. Johnny Gwindy has done a good job to maintain his gap over Greg Seitz as they work themselves through the tail end of lap number 8 into the quick right, into the quick left, and then down the hill into corner number 12 to begin lap number 9. You can see that gap closing from 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th on back as Greg Seitz tries to get a good run. Arjan de Vries has thrown aggressive moves down the front straightaway since the beginning of this race, but hasn't been able to make one stick. Last couple laps, he's been relatively calm. Greg goes to the middle of the racetrack to defend, then back over to the standard racing line. This entire group isn't going to be over aggressive just yet. And looking at the lap times again, last time around, 13 flat for Gwindy. Everyone basically in the pack behind, 13.1, so there's a 13 flat in there. However, it was for Norbert Sulzer, who's at the tail end of that little pack.
Lap times trickling down. Johnny Gwindy, his fastest lap of the race so far, and actually going all the way back to 4th position, the fastest lap for all 4 of them. Johnny Gwindy, though, a big slide as he approaches the bridge, and he'll continue to slide right through and continue his lead. Hopefully he will not be scrubbing off a little bit of speed. He has managed to, he's really wrangling that car now. I see him using the wheel quite liberally through that section, throwing it left, throwing it right, throwing it left again, and counter steering as he's forcing that Skip Barber car to do what he pleases. And Greg Seitz, it looks much smoother, but I'm not necessarily sure where the speed is. But everybody, when you start doing the same lap times, it means they're really trying to hunt down that leader. They know what's at stake, and they want to get a piece of that pie up front.
Talking about knowing what's at stake, Johnny Gwindy has been doing a fantastic job a job stretching the gap, as looking back to the second and third place battle. Defensive again goes Greg Seitz. The two machines going to force it side by side into corner number 1. He has the nose for now, but he's going to have to be deep on the brakes into the hairpin at turn 2 through corner number 2, and Greg Seitz is going to reign supreme. Can that two machine of DeVries get a good run on the outside? I think he's going to be able to, and that's going to slot himself down the inside for corner number 3, side by side into 3, and behind there's jockeying for position happening as well. Arjan still side by side with Greg Freitz through corner number 4 up into 5, and is he going to get that spot? I think he's going to, because of a long right hand run through this section of the racetrack, and that brings the 5 and the 3 side by side. Bit of sideways for both of them. I think they barely touched, but 3 wide almost behind as they work themselves into the quick right left chicane.
Lebert, for the third time in a row, has had to save his vehicle from a spin as he manages to do that one after the other. Very impressive from Philippe Lebert, but either way, he has lost the positioning and he has cycled himself well back. Ariel Zafraita, that is exactly what you want to see. He managed to really force the issue without making contact. That's what you want to see, though. 9 laps to go here at Oran Park for our Skip Barber Race Series as the laps are ticking on by. Johnny Gwindy at 1:13.6. Ariel Zafraita a 1:14. So the opportunities were there while they were fighting for Gwindy to pull a gap, but it just wasn't there. A little bit of smoke I see coming from the left front tire of Johnny Gwindy as they go through the hairpin, but now they're all following single file. Hopefully Johnny is able to keep his gap. That's what he's going to hopefully want. But Ariel Zafraita, no, now he's got the gap, he's got the speed. We'll see now if that Positive Sim Racing Skip Barber car can hunt down Johnny Gwindy's Skip Barber car.
The gap at the line was 1.3 seconds before the number 6 and the number 2 as they ran. Looking back throughout the fight, it was only 1 second or so that divided the next few cars behind Arjan de Vries. Greg Seitz has closed the gap back up on that 2 machine that now runs into the second spot. Might be looking to make a move as they make the run down your front straightaway yet again, but the lights of Norbert Sulzer and Philippe Lebert, AJ Bear as well, been very aggressive throughout this race. Up into the final corner they come. The 1 machine closes on the back of Greg Seitz. Slightly different line for Sulzer compared to that 5 machine of Greg Seitz. Coming now down your front straightaway. That gap between the lead actually comes down by about 1/10 of a second. So Arjan de Vries doing a good job that last time around to keep to require Johnny Gwindy to stay honest. We're not going to be able to make any mistakes as that, and he might just be able, if he can keep that pace up, Cam, might be able to reel in that 6th machine in the closing stages of this run.
Yeah, we can definitely see. I mean, there is enough time, I should say, but we'll have to see just what happens, because you got to remember Greg Seitz is not going to be sitting on his laurels, and neither will Norbert Sulzer. Well, remember, Sulzer was the car that was in second position until going well off track into corner number 2. He has worked his way slowly but surely through the front 5 or 6 positions, and he is now at least sitting back and forth just outside of the podium, but he's got Greg Seitz in front of him. We'll see how these cars are fighting as Ariel Zafraita, he's pulled a little bit of a gap over Greg Seitz, and I believe Greg Seitz probably going to start going defensive over Norbert Sulzer for 4th.
Keeping an eye on someone, that 8 machine of Cy Andrew, who I believe at the point of last week was at one point the points leader. Well, traditionally this season he's qualified bad and made his way to the front. This time, though, he's not quite made the same efforts. Qualified 13th. That car currently runs in the 10th spot. However, bit of side-by-side swerving action going down the front straightaway amongst your leaders. The 5 of Greg Seitz and the 1 of Sulzer going to go side-by-side. The 3 machine thought of making a 3-car battle. The 1 puts the outside right side tires on the dirt, but is able to hold it. Can he hold the outside line, though, the way we saw Arjan de Vries do it? I think Greg Seitz gonna be a much more aggressive defending that inside, and because that, hard on the brakes goes Greg Seitz. He's gonna get rear-ended by the 1 of Sulzer. He comes back out right on the apex, and the 1 machine hits him in the back end again. This brings the 10 of AJ Bear into it, as well as Francois Bouliane. Bit of aggressive move there happening, Cam. I don't know if Greg just broke way too early and Sulzer wasn't expecting it, or if Sulzer just flat out misjudged where he was on the racetrack, got a little target fixated and just flat out didn't hit the brakes and drove into the back of Greg.
Yeah, and that was actually quite impressive from Greg Seitz and really Norbert Sulzer and really the entire group that was involved, including AJ Bear. Bear was trying to at least gain a position off of it. It just wasn't in the cards. How could they manage to have an incident, have a car go off track, and yet still not really lose any time other than a couple of positions? Ariel Zafraita, though, he's still rocking and rolling here. He just ran a 1:12.7. whereas Johnny Guindi at 1:13.1. So Ariel Zafreta is coming, and he is coming quick here, and now he is locked onto the rear of Johnny Guindi with 5 laps to go.
Inside the final handful of laps, and you're absolutely right, about 5.5 or so left in this one. And Johnny Guindi, I think he thought he would have had a pretty big gap at this stage of the race, Cam, just a handful of laps to go, and he saw what that gap was. But that number 2 machine has been absolutely hooked up in race trim. Felipe Bear, by the way, is the one who inherited that 3rd spot after the incidents that happened behind. But Johnny Guindi now with the 2 machine, all for company to work themselves through the bridge and up towards on the run to corner number 7 and 8. This is going to be basically single file section of the racetrack. And Cam, talking about these race cars, it's not a very long front straightaway here, but you talk about how underpowered they are. The wings, even though they're not large, as little horsepower as they have, they actually generate quite a bit of drag. And because of that, this front straightaway is just long enough that I think the draft is really helping that 2 machine. Let's see if he can make a move on the run down into 1.
Yeah, these cars make a rather sizable hole, and it allows them to get dragged on. Johnny Guindi, he knows the game. He's going well to the inside. I believe he's going to stay there until you get to the kink. You really have to reach out. You can't take the kink short, otherwise you're going to mess up your entry for the hairpin. So Johnny Guindi comes across the track. He'll clip the curbing just enough, dancing on the brake. Both of them are modulating that brake and getting themselves back on the throttle. Both taking the hairpin very good, even though Johnny Guindi has a lot of pressure on him right now. Arion is just going to keep his line. He is going to pick and choose his battles. Don't want to pass too early, don't want to wait too long. So it's a difficult balance between trying to find and probe the offense and defense of the duel that we're watching right now for the overall victory here at the Skip Barber Race Series at Oran Park. By the way, meanwhile, Felipe Bear, well, he's cleared a little bit of a gap over Greg Seitz for 3rd position, and Felipe, he's trying to gain. I just don't think there's going to be enough time for him. Also, just looking back while we've been watching this battle, just looking back to P8, Gardo Babia Ramos. Remember, he had that incident earlier. He's clawed his way back up to 8th position with Adam Rylance. They have been fighting back and forth just to keep that in sights. Don't worry. There is, other than that, everybody seems to be fairly straight looked out. So we're probably going to be continuing to watch the front of the field, Randy, but obviously a couple of battles still going on in the back.
Speaking of his battles, Johnny Guindi goes defensive again. The 2 machine doesn't seem to be too interested in the lead just yet. He's going to just stay to the outside. Side by side, a little bit deeper though. Greg Seitz and Norbert Solzer. And Solzer going to make the outside work for the first time here on the run into 1 and 2. And I think the Greg Seitz might have a bit of damage from when Solzer got into the back of him. He was basically clear before they ever started breaking into 1. Now Seitz goes to the outside into corner number 3. Not going to be able to make it work because that Solzer going to be able to comfortably take over that 4th spot. How will Seitz be able to defend from Bullion and AJ Bear behind?
Yeah, and it is just, it's becoming quite interesting front row Bullion. He has worked his way up lap after lap, slowly reeling in. Now he's finding himself being on the offense and defense, which is a fairly precarious position to find yourself in as they're working their way through the quick backs right now. They take that quick right, that quick left, and then you go down a hill, and you slow it up, and then you're going right up a hill. The amount of elevation changes is really impressive here at Oran Park. I have to say, it is an entertaining track to run on. It's just so difficult to actually find and make a pass. We saw how difficult it was for Ariel Zafreta to manage to pass for 2nd position, and now he's reeled right in here on the rear of Johnny Guindi. He's going to pull alongside. Here they go. He's got a rim in. He's side by side going through corner number 1. Johnny Guindi will allow him to stay out there. No problems there. He's going to stretch brakes as long as he can make it. Going into the hairpin, Ariel Zafreta, will he be able to get on the throttle? No. So good probing here from Ariel Zafreta, and they're doing it safely as well.
6 machine of Johnny Guindi was all sorts of loose on the brakes into corner number 1, trying to fend off the 2 machine of Rajan De Vries through that section of the racetrack. He's able to do it, and as you see again, very sideways at that 6 machine. Is he going to bring the 2 all over the back of him? He looks the driver's right, up and over the bridge through turn 6, but Johnny Guindi's going to shut the door. 2 machine had to get out of that one, Cam. I think that Arjan, if I were him, I probably would have kept my foot in it, but Johnny Guindi, I think he was expecting Johnny to actually shut that door as they're getting ready to come down through the quick left and quick right here on the racetrack, or excuse me, the chicane. That was the left-hander up into the chicane now, coming to the final corner. Going to be 2 laps to go. I think if you're that 2 machine, you have to make the move at some point, because Felipe Bear behind is catching relatively consistently a 12.9 last time for the 3 car.
Yeah, and we got to, we'll look at the lap times as they come through, but we got to remember the laps are ticking down here. They're just about to start lap 18, so it's 2 to go here at Oran Park in the Skip Barber Series. But Johnny Gwinny, he's been putting on a very valiant defense. We'll see where Oran is going to make his maneuver. Is he going to drag it on the inside here? No, that would be a little bit too risky, I would say. So he's going to hold back and reserve. I would say unless he's probably got to focus and get a good exit going into 3. If he gets the inside at 3, that is how he got past the previous time. And we got to remember Philippe Lebert, his lap time is about 0.6 of a second faster that last lap. And whereabouts is he? Well, he's about a second, 0.6 back, so we'll see just where Philippe Lebert can find himself. If he arrives on the scene late, that could also be a force factor. No worry about lap traffic, though, so it is just a duel between Johnny Gwinny and Oran Zafrita for the lead.
Through 7 and 8 and on the run up into 9, the 2 machine of De Vries has closed onto the back of Yanni Gundi here to begin the final lap. Got a couple more corners though of lap number 18 through number 10 and 11 and then up into 12. Now Arjan needs to use all the racetrack, get as much of a run as he can. Yanni Gundi a lot quicker to the apex, but Arjan's a lot quicker out. Coming onto the front straightaway for the penultimate time. The 2 machine has a bit of a run on Yanni Gundi as they work themselves down the front straightaway. He's going to make it side by side yet again. He's going to pull fully alongside, goes all the way to driver's right, hard on the brakes through the kink, and no, they're going to get back single file. So Arjan not being fully aggressive just yet at the apex of the hairpin. Still nose to tail behind Philippe Lebert, still trying to close through now on the run into corner number 3. They stay single file. Not a lot of places to make the move happen from here. On the run into corner number 4 and into 5. At the apex they get, and the 2 machine of De Vries still shadowing the 6 machine of Yanni Gundi up and over the bridge and into 6. Long right-hander, and then down you come into 7 and into 8. Yanni Gundi clipping the dirt on the left-hand side, got a little bit loose because of that. 2 machine not quite able to make anything happen with that slight mistake. Still through up into 9 and into 10 and 11. What's it gonna be for the two machine of Arjan De Vries? Will he try to throw it up the inside into corner number 12? He looks there, but he's not quite close enough to make it happen. It's gonna have to be a big run for Arjan De Vries out of the final corner, down the front straightaway for the final time. But no, the 6 machine of Yanni Gundi is gonna hold on to the top spot, and he will win round number 7 from Oran Park. Arjan De Vries, margin of victory only 0.3 of a second, Cam.
What a wonderful race from our winner and Johnny Gwindy. That was absolutely wonderful. A great show of dueling between Oran and Johnny as well, by the way. That is how you want to do it when you are looking for a duel. You don't want to be bumping and pushing and forcing yourself away. So that was absolutely wonderful to watch. And Philippe Lebert, well, in the final lap, he was able to join even more. 0.7 at the final line, but just not enough time.
And with that, after 19 laps and 23 minutes, 21 seconds of racing, we will go down your post-race results here from the beginning. This is the beginning of the second half of season 1 from Oran Park. Yanni Gundi comes away with the pole, and he leads every single lap around this racetrack. Comes away with a 0.3 of a second margin of victory over the 2 of Arjan De Vries. Philippe Lebert finishes in a 3rd with Norbert Sulzer and Greg Seitz rounding out your top 5. Francois Boulian finishes in 6th with AJ Bear 7th. Adam Rylands in 8th with Gerardo Babia Ramos and Cy Andra rounding out your top 10. Justin Smith in 11th with Justin Tipton in 12th. 13th, Christian Capanga. 14th, Jesus Martin Tamaro. Andrew Precario 15th. 16th is Tim Bedeau. And 17th is Carl Dronke. That's going to do it for us tonight for your Skip Barbers, but don't go away. One more show coming up in just a few minutes' time. That's going to be your Raven Graphics and East Peak Contender Series William Tolley 200 live from Chicagoland. Championships getting tight on the first phase of that championship, so you want to tune in. From Randy Chineth, from Kim Walsh, from Hugo Louis, Skip Barber Racing School, and iRacing, of course. This has been round number 7 from Oran Park. Tune in next week as this series moves back to Brazil. Actually, no, I take that back. They go to Japan for Okayama. 14 laps around the Grand Prix track there. We'll see you then.